Welcome back, everybody. Now you're probably a little confused because you're probably thinking to yourself, hey, this is Lightroom. What does this have to do with Photoshop and Dreamweaver? Well, Lightroom 2 is part of the Photoshop family, and after working on this course, I talked to a couple of different people, and they said, well, all the stuff that you're doing in the course, can you do it with Lightroom? And I said, it's probably a good idea that I add a bonus lesson here to talk about how to be able to use stuff out of Lightroom into that Dreamweaver layout. So, let's just get a couple of housekeeping notes here taken care of. I find a site on lesson 17. Right? It's the same site that you've been working on before, so if you've been doing this from the get-go, you're all good. Inside of the RC photography folder, we have a website root. You can just go ahead and define to this website root, and you'll be good to go. So if you don't know how to do that, again, back to lesson 9, and you'll be able to pick it up. Now, I'm going to go ahead and first start off by showing you a page. I picked this up from a post that we saw over at John Knack's blog, blogs.adobe.com/jknack. And he talked about Felix Turner at Airtight Interactive taking his Simpleviewer and converting Tiltviewer and Simpleviewer and putting it all into CS4, which I thought was great. Now, one of the things that was missing inside of Lightroom was Tiltviewer. So, let me just backtrack here for a couple seconds and say, whenever you want to hear about something that's Photoshop related, the cutting edge, this is where you want to go. John Knack on Adobe, blogs.adobe.com/knack. So, from there, that got me thinking about Felix Turner, another place that you should always check out. airtightinteractive.com/news gets you into specific viewers that you can get for Photoshop and Lightroom. He's a Flash developer, but really, really good at getting this stuff out. So, I would put him on the must-watch list. Now, I got an email from this site, which I thought was really, really cool. It's run by a guy named Thomas Manath, and it's in German, which it's going to be hard for us to take a look at. But he sent me a message, and he said, hey, you know what? I just finished making a Tiltviewer plugin for Lightroom 2, and it's in its beta stages, but it does very, very well. Now, take a look here. So we're at the Lightroom tutorial. He's got Tiltviewer set up. So I like it. I'm pretty excited about it. So I said, all right, well, can you give me the link to it? Because, well, most of us probably won't read German, and if you do, then this will work for you. So what I did was I'm including a file inside of here where I'm going to put in the URL, and that's this URL right there. And what I'll do is I'm just going to go ahead and grab the URL right from here. I'll just copy this link, and I'm going to put that in your document. So notice it'll be right here. Now all you have to do is copy that from that directory and paste. That'll download. I'm going to save the file, and we'll go ahead and we'll save it on the desktop. Now, what I'm going to do from there is, now that I have that set, I'll go ahead and I'll minimize, and I'll close this out, and I'll show you what it's going to look like over here. So now I have the file here. I'm just going to expand it, and once I expand it, what that's going to do is going to create a folder. That folder is going to be placed on the Mac side in the library, application support. Actually, it's going to be under your user, library, application support, let's see, Adobe, Lightroom, and galleries. Now, for PC users, I'm going to go ahead and put both of these paths, the paths for Vista and the paths for XP, as well as this path, so that you have it and you can install PC Mac users. So don't feel like you have to memorize this. But I went in and threw that in there already. So I'm going to close that. I'm going to move this out of the way. We'll go ahead and we'll finish filling this out later. And I'm going to go back into Lightroom. So that's why we're here. I have some just regular pictures, and I'm going to include these pictures. Obviously, if you have Lightroom, you probably have a ton of pictures you want to do this with anyway. And I'm going to go over here to the web section. Now, in the web section, you'll notice that we have Simpleviewer. I like Simpleviewer quite a bit because it's simple, right? I can go ahead and just change my background here, and that's it. It does pagination. It's got the pictures right in the center of it. I just think you can't get any better for that. I don't like that border though. We'll see that. That looks a little bit better, right? So it's just easy. It paginates forward, it paginates backwards. I think it does everything that we want. But if you want to be able to do something a little bit more avant-garde, I like Tiltviewer. The only downside to it right now is that he doesn't have a preview. But for the most part, we have a preview in the Photoshop one, so we're kind of getting used to it. In here, notice you put titles, descriptions, and link URLs for the image, and this is where you can control what that radial gradient on the center looks like. So outer background is going to be black. Inner background, again, I don't like it, so I'm just going to move it down to black. I'm going to click on X there. The photo frame is going to be white. The side background is going to be gray. That's fine. Maybe the title, what I'll do there is I'll do the file name, description, caption. I'm not putting any descriptions here, but I think it's a good idea for you to do that. Now the image size, I'm going to drag this down to about, let's say, 460. I think that's the lowest it's going to go there, and I'm going to leave my padding and everything else exactly the way that it was. From there, I'll go ahead and I'll click on Export. And in the desktop, actually, you know what? Instead of doing it in the desktop, I'm going to do it right inside of the... Oh, you know what? Let's do it in the desktop first, because I don't know what it's going to do yet. And then I'm just going to make this, let's see, Tiltviewer _ Lightroom. And I'm going to click on Save. That's going to go and create this export for us. And then what we'll do is we'll just take a look at what it looks like, and then we'll take a look at how to be able to incorporate that into the website. So it's exporting, and while we're doing that, I'm going to go ahead and trash my airtight viewer that I have there. And I'm sure that later versions of this are going to include some sort of preview that you can take a look at. So I would probably recommend going to the lightroomtutorial.de site and making sure that you're up to date with the latest version that he has out there. I actually just spoke to him, and he said that he's going to be working on translating that site to English. So, hey, another Lightroom site. I think that's going to be pretty cool. While we're at it, also, I will say, if you want to keep up with some more stuff for that, I would go to lightroomkillertips.com. My buddy Matt Klaskowski, he's got some great tips that you can take a look at to be able to take your Lightroom skills to the next level. So there's a lot of different things right here. You can download presets, you can download videos. So if you're into Lightroom and you want to be able to kind of speed things up and you want to be able to get some really, really interesting effects, there's no better site than coming to this site. And you can subscribe to it. So it's one of those things that you have to put on your must list. Now, this is done. So I'm going to go ahead and close this out. And now that I've done that, I'm going to go check my desktop and go look for that file. Notice that under the Lesson 17 folder, I put that Tiltviewer Lightroom, and I'm going to click on Index, and let's just take a look at whether or not it did what we wanted it to do first. Yeah, looks like it did. If we flip it, there's our file name. Flip back. I like it. Looks great. So, since that worked okay, I'll go ahead and I'll just grab this Tiltviewer Lightroom. I'm going to copy it. I'm going to paste it into the root of that site. So there it is. Click on Paste. Tiltviewer Lightroom is done. I'm going to go back into Dreamweaver, and I'm going to check the files there, refresh, and expand. There, Tiltviewer Lightroom. We'll go ahead and expand that, and I'm going to open up the index.html file. Bring that in here so that you guys can see it. Can't see anything actually because there's nothing there. So, go to your assets, grab your template, and drag your template on top of the page. Now, any body content is going to go to my editable area or editable region called content area, and any head information is going to go into the head of the document, and that's usually the scripts and all that stuff for this. I'm going to click OK. Looks like it worked pretty good. I'm going to go to CSS style, and there's probably going to be some styles that I need to be able to change here. Like HTML heights 100%. I'm probably going to need to change that. This flash content heights 100%. I'm probably going to need to change that as well. But let's just see how close we get to what we need to do. We'll save this file. For the most part, it looks like it's working okay. Right? It kind of just runs off the page. So That's okay. We can do that. We had that problem before. Now, web design is all about kind of trying stuff out and seeing if something works or seeing if something else works. So I'm always a big fan of just kind of playing with this. I'm going to start by just going into the code view. And the code view, I know that the earlier one had these signs here, right? Percentage signs. I'm going to try to zoom in. Hopefully you guys can stick with me there. So I'm guessing that this will still accept something of pixels instead of percentages there. And I'm going to make this 500 by 400 pixels. And I'm going to zoom out and save. And let's go ahead and see how close that gets us. All right, so that makes this player smaller, which is kind of what I was looking for. But the only thing that it doesn't solve is the fact that we don't have a scroll bar here. So I'm going to go take a look at that section. I'll come back over to the design section and I'll go to CSS styles. And I'm almost positive that the HTML is the one that's here in place. This overflow that shows up as hidden, preventing that scroll bar. If I switch that to auto, I can go ahead and save this and preview. Notice there's my scroll bar. Looks pretty good. So now we've been able to successfully put in Tiltviewer from Lightroom. So I'm digging it. Now you can go ahead and use all of your collections from the Lightroom side, export them, bring them into your Dreamweaver layout, and set up your own customized page.